Hello YouTube and welcome to my brand new channel here for the Apple Teacher Professional Development Program. I'm going to talk you through the badges for iPad, starting with session 1, and during this session you will learn the basics of using iPad. I am using a slightly older version of iPad with the button. If you don't have a button, most of the things are exactly the same, so do not worry. Firstly, your home screen is displayed here. I have two home screens, you can see from the two dots at the bottom there, and if I just swipe in this empty space, left or right, I can navigate between my windows. If I want to select an app, I just click on the app and the app will open. Now the first thing it asks is how to create a folder of apps with personalized names. Imagine I wanted to put these three native apps here into one folder. So to do that, I just click and hold on one of the icons and it'll have this option here. You want to rearrange the apps and you'll see they now jiggle. If you now hold one down and drag it over the top of the other, it will automatically open a new folder. If you tap into the empty space, you click on the next app you want, drag it over as well, and then you can release. You can change the name of the folder using this bit at the top, so I can just click the X. I'm going to call it Native Apps. Click Done, and now when I'm finished, I just press the Home button. They're now saved in this folder. If I wanted to, I could add particular apps at the bottom here, and what that'll do is they'll stay in my dock, and I can for quick and easy access. So I can, for example, if I wanted Keynote, I just go into this, hold it down, rearrange apps, and I'm going to drag it. I'm going to bring it down, and it's going to place, you can see there, I can put it into my dock. There it is. If I didn't want it in my dock anymore, again, just hold it, move it, put it back wherever you want to put it, and you're done. To use the search function, just any of this empty space, just flick down, and you'll see the search button comes up, and you can now search for an app or a file or a mail or settings and so on. So I'm just going to go to the settings app, and you can see there I'm now in the settings app. To customize the control center, if you swipe down from the top right hand side, you will get your control center. That's this menu here. You can control these settings at the bottom. Some of them can be very useful for you as a teacher. To do that, we're going to go to our settings. Now I put my settings in my dock here, so I'm going to open settings. I'm going to scroll down until I can see control center, and then I'm going to customize my controls. And in here, these are the ones that are in this menu already. So if I swipe down here, they're already here, and I can add more to it if I want to. So for example, I can add the voice memos here, press the plus, and now when I swipe down from the top, the voice memos icon appears. Why is that useful? Well, if I swipe down from the side here, there are many things I can do. I can record the screen using this button here, which is what I'm doing now. I can, for example, set a timer. I can change my display. I can change my AirDrop, AirPlay, and Bluetooth, Wi-Fi settings, all using this here, and my music and so on. So what I'm going to do is if I press and hold on this, it then gives me an option of setting a timer, and I can set that from 2 hours to 0. I'm going to put a 1 minute timer on. I've already started a timer the other day, so there we go, start. There we go, and it will now count down the timer. I can now use my iPad however I like, and my timer is still running in the background. So for example, if I swipe down now, you can see my timer is still going. If I click on it, it will open that, and you can see the timer. I'm just going to press pause and done because I don't want the timer set anymore. To use the camera, we can swipe down from the side, and there's two options. You can use the camera in our control center. If we hold that down, it gives us some different options. Record a video, take a photo, record slow-mo and so on. Or we can just use the camera app on our main screen. So we click on camera, it will then show you what you need to see. You can press this shutter button, you can put a selfie mode, timer, this is live mode, and then you've got your settings down here at the bottom. This is your gallery. So you can take a picture, there we go. I can now click into that picture, clicking this button here, And there are things I can do with this as well. So if I tap once on the screen, I can edit this, I can delete it, I can put it as a favorite, I can share this, or I can go to all of my photos. So I'm going to edit this photograph. And now it gives me some options down the side. These are my different shutter settings, exposure, brilliance, and so on. I have filters, which is the middle one. And I can have something like this. And then I have this option for more. And if I click that, I can do a markup. Now the markup allows me to draw on top of the picture. So I can use the tools at the bottom here. For example, this pencil, or this pen, sorry. I'm going to change the color of this pen. And now I can draw on this board. I can use the highlighter. I can use the pencil. I can use the eraser. Now this eraser here has two options. So if I click on it, you can erase the pixel or the object. The difference, if I'm on object, it will delete the whole thing. And if I erase using the pixel, it will just erase the sections that I swipe over. This is the selection tool, this one here. And with this, I can highlight or select a section of the draw that I've drawn. I can use the ruler and use two fingers to rotate or reposition, and I can have my color options at the side here. So I'm going to stick with this and press done at the top, and this is my new photograph, and I'm going to press done, and there it is. I can now share this or save it in my gallery. To use Siri, there are two ways. You need to make sure first that Siri is enabled, so go to settings, and you can just search at the top Siri. There we go, and now type to Siri, or you can have it always on, hands-free only, and so on. So for example, I can set a timer using Siri. Now as a teacher, if you're just able to carry on with what you're doing and say, hey Siri, set a timer for 1 minute, and it automatically do it, that's a great feature that we can use in the classroom. To switch between apps and use the multitasking features. Imagine I have Safari open and I suddenly want to go to settings that I was on before. If you double tap the home button, you can then go straight back to another app, double tap again, and you can see all your latest apps are in this area here. Now if you wanted side by side, imagine you've got this page open and you want to now open another page next to it. There are two ways you can do that. If I tap and hold this button at the top, I have the option of opening a new window, a tab, or a new private tab. So I'm going to open a window. And I now have a side-by-side view. I can put whatever I want into this side, and I have this side that's still open, like this. When I'm finished, I can just click and drag this to the side, and it'll get rid of the two windows. If I wanted to open two different apps at the same time, I would just get to the bottom, swipe up about 1 inch, and you can see the apps here, and I can now drag this over. For example, if I hold that down, drag and drop, I now have two windows side by side. I have my Numbers app open and I have Safari open at the same time. So there are different things that you can do there. Now, when is this useful? Well, imagine I have Notes open and I want Safari open at the same time. So I'm going to put this on. Now I can drop it there and it will be over the top of my notes, or I can actually move it and have a side-by-side view. It's entirely up to you. So if once I've got these two side by side, I can use my notes and take information from a website and drop it into this here. So if I open Notes, I want to get my picture, hold it down, drag it over and let go, and you can see the plus sign there, and then it'll paste that picture in without having to copy and paste. The same if I do the same with text. If I highlight this text here, and I'm going to drag it across, let go, and you can see there it goes in. Now, depending on what you drag and drop, depends on what it'll look like. If I drag this over, it'll be plain text. Okay. Now, if I was in Safari, there's other things I can do. For example, I can use this button at the top here, and I can change this into a reader view. And what that allows me to do is to see it without all of this. I'll show you the difference. That's without, that's with. I can change the background color. I can change the fonts. I can change the size of the fonts. And it stops students from being distracted by the things that are on the page. Very useful tool. It's on every single website, but it is on most. Notes. Let's go back to our Notes app. You can add in different things at the bottom here. We can add in a checklist. So if I click this button here, I can now have test 1, test 2, test 3, and so on. And what I can do with these now is I can tick these off like a checklist. And I'm missing, for example, test 2 here. There are other things I can do. I can add in, for example, I can add in a table. I can add in a photograph or a scanned document. I can add in a drawing using the drawing tool. Lots you can do there in Notes. Okay, let's go to Books. And I'm going to go into this Everyone Can Create book. So this is the chapter, this is the page. So if I swipe across now, I'm swiping between the chapters. If I want to go into one of these chapters, I click on here and it will give me then swiping through the pages of the book. Now within this book, it has features like this, which means you can click on this picture and swipe through the pictures. When I'm finished, I can press the X. I can carry on through. If there's anything that's highlighted, it means you can click on it and it will come up with something. Again, I can swipe through these pictures. If you pinch your screen, you go back to the chapters. Let me tap once. You have the option of looking at the chapters or the table. You have the option of looking at the information within each one. You have the option of highlighting. So for example, if I highlight this, I can highlight. I can change the color of that highlight, and I can also add a note using this button here. Maps. There's some really cool features that Maps has. So for example, if I search for London, I have this option here called Fly Over. Now if I click on this, your iPad will then display London in virtual reality. So I can look around London, I can take pictures with it, I could screenshot with it, I could screen record, and then if I tap once, you have this feature down here called Start City Tour, and if I click on this, it will then fly over London and show me the most famous landmarks. It does take a while to load a city, and it doesn't work with every single city, but the major cities it does work with. Next thing, to personalize your iPad using accessibility features are in Settings, and it now has its own tab if you've got the most recent update, Accessibility, and then you have different sections. So for example, you have this option to the spoken content. This one's I found very useful, and you can have the speech selection turned on. And you have different voices you can choose from. If I was you, I'd pick Alex because it's the most robust. And what that means is whenever I'm on a website, for example, and I can highlight and I can press speak, and it will speak the words to me. It won't work because I've got the microphone plugged in. Another good one, let's go back. You can have, for example, on touch, you can have this assistive touch, which is what the button that is currently flying around your screen. It's actually a button which is used for accessibility, but it's good for a pointer as well. And what you can do is you can set this to do different things. So for example, if I tap it once, it will open a menu like this. If I double tap it, I've set it to screenshot like this. And if I long press it, it will lock. As you can see, when I pressed that button, it turned off the video because it locked my screen, but I'm now back on. So the last thing I'm going to show you is this Files button. Now in here, I can click on here. I can navigate between all my files on my iCloud drive or on my iPad or other places. And then if I hold down one of these, I can then share it with somebody. If I hold down, I have the option to move it, duplicate it, so on. and then I have the option to share. And when I click share, I can airdrop it, I can email it, I can add it to my drive or my box. Lots of options for me just from using this files button without having to go into the individual apps. That's everything you need now for session 1. What you need to do now is go to the Apple Teacher website, go to the badges for iPad, recap everything you've learned from the Getting to Know Your iPad session 1, and then just the only other bit to look at is the mail bit. I'm not going to go into mail because I have my settings on here, but if you read through the mail section, and then you'll be able to answer the questions and earn your badge. If you have any questions, like I said, please let me know and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.